Republicans, because they're in dire need of spiritual growth. Hand grenades and landmines, they work perfectly too. Tarantulas work perfectly. Tigers, when they attack you, if you're Siegfried and Roy, work perfectly. Oh, is it too soon? I contend that these 5 iron laws are unalterable, unfixable characteristics of big government. You cannot have big government and not have those results. It is unreformable, unfixable, and if that's true, then I offer this hypothesis. What if government isn't malfunctioning? What if big government is producing exactly as its nature dictates? What if those results are inevitable with all big government programs? And our libertarian economists and our libertarian theorists, from Murray Rothbard to Ayn Rand, from Ludwig von Mises to Menger, von Bauer, to Henry Hazlitt, to Harry Brown, all across history have told us it is true. If that is true, then what is the solution to the disease of big government? Dismantle it, liquidate it, and give back the money to the working men and women who earned it. We have to remember, whenever we're talking about cutting government spending, that's only the first half of our libertarian sentence. Never say just, we're going to cut government spending without the second half and return every dollar to the men and women who earned it, the taxpayers. Our job as libertarians, we've got to remember this. Democrats and Republicans say, I'm going to go to Washington with a pen to write new legislation. What are you libertarians going to do? We've got an eraser. Yeah. The Democrats and Republicans say, we're going to Washington, D.C. to sow the seeds of weeds. Weeds can make America better for pests like me. And libertarians say, we're going to pull up the weeds by the root. We're going to dismantle, repeal, remove, reduce as much as we can, as fast as we can, as long as we can, and return every dollar to the men and women who earned it. Does that make sense? We want to shrink government down till it's small and limited. A tiny fraction of its current size, power, spending, authority, responsibility. We want to move it down to the size where it's like the old Andy Griffith show. It's Andy of Mayberry, doesn't even wear guns. Very small government. And Barney gets a gun, but you don't let him carry a bullet in it. That kind of small government. We want government so small, they start putting its picture on the side of milk cartons. Have you seen these guys? You see, we have to realize something. Government at all levels collects from you and you and you. 47 cents for every dollar you earn is taken from you in local plus state plus federal taxes. 47 cents out of every dollar. Do you realize how much better your life could be? How much more productive your family could be? How much more generous you could be to your charities, your church, to your friends and your family? Starting that new business, helping your children along, providing for your own future, or helping people who didn't make the same choices you did, because we have hearts and we care. All of that is possible with huge tax reductions, huge spending reductions this year. Now, the libertarian solutions are very simple. If you're running for office, I believe every libertarian candidate should propose state, local, and federal grace commissions every year. Private sector business people going through the government waste. Why private sector? Because they have had to save money throughout their career. They've realized that every dollar they waste comes out of their family income and out of their ability to hire people and out of their ability to expand their business. Second, libertarians need to propose a movement already going in the United States, total government transparency. Every dime, every dollar ought to be posted online. And let me offer just a friendly little libertarian idea. Can you imagine if your local budget were online and you found out how much the cops were paying for tires and it was too much? Can you imagine what you would do if you saw how much they were paying for office space and it was double or triple the private sector? We could boot them out and we could reduce those and go back to beer prices for beer instead of champagne prices. Here's the proposal. It's got to be readable online. It's got to be posted. If you don't post it, your department gets no money until it does. If you illegally post it, you get to serve in prison next to the child molesters, the rapists, and the Wall Street criminals. Well, not the Wall Street criminals. They're in D.C. working with the Republicans. Now, I contend that it ought to be readable by an average 12-year-old public school student. Now, you can immediately see the cleverness of this idea. They're either going to improve the education or they're going to make it more readable. I'm always thinking about these things. We can do what Carla Howell is doing with her Libertarian Solutions, where we're showing libertarian ways of dismantling, disgovernmentalizing, and reducing the size and power of government. If you're running for office, you have an enormous ability to not just get elected, but while you're running, to educate the public on libertarian alternatives. It is the greatest. David Nolan, when he originally wrote The Case for a Libertarian Political Party and published it in the Individualist magazine, I read it when it originally came out. And he said the biggest advantage of running for office is educating the public. And I contend that one of the big values of every libertarian candidate is educating the public. Now I'm going to put that to the test. How many of you are running for office this year? Would you please stand up? Thank you. Thank you. Now, we got to remember that when we're running for office, we're interviewing for a job. We're not being philosopher kings. When someone says to you, why should I vote for you? They're asking you, what will you do in office? I'm going to dismantle the big government programs and give you back $3,000 a year of your own money. Not just once, but every year. This is better than the lottery and has much, much better odds. Now, there's an idea floating around the Libertarian Party, and I'm going to have to straighten it out right now. The idea is that the job and the mission of the Libertarian Party is to elect libertarians. That's a half-truth. Now, let me stop right there. I didn't come up with this insight. This was given to me as a dumb young libertarian by Dick Randolph, our first elected libertarian in the state of Alaska. 1978, Dick Randolph gets elected, and we go into shock. A libertarian actually got elected? Holy moly, we might have a chance. I got a chance to meet Dick when he did a tour of the lower 48. And I said, how did you feel after that victory, after that success in winning? And he looked at me like I was slightly dense, which is probably true. And he said, you just don't get it, do you? And I said, no. And he said, getting elected is the starting line, not the finish line. The test is, first, can I get elected? And second, what am I going to do when I'm there? And that's what Carla Howell's Libertarian Solutions are about. That's what a number of libertarians around the country are sharing with us. Your run for office can educate and influence, even if you don't win. I want to give you a couple of examples, and then I want to leave you with some good thoughts. 1978, Ed Clark. Is Ed here? Mr. Clark, thank you so much. 1978, Ed Clark ran for governor of California. He ran a big campaign, he attracted a great campaign team, and he ran, in my opinion, one of the finest libertarian campaigns we have ever run. It starts with a good candidate and a good team and good issues. Ed Clark ran to dramatically reduce the spending of the California legislature. But there were two other items that he put as part and parcel of his campaign. That year in 1978, Proposition 13 was on the ballot. Dan Weiner remembers about this. I know he worked on